The amendment is adopted. Members, the following amendment. Secretary will read the amendment.
For amendment number 9 by Alvarado.
Senator Alvarado, on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, senators like the legislature, not the executive branch or a state agency, controls state appropriations. This amendment prevents unilateral funding decisions made out of this chamber. Without this amendment, money intended for healthcare, disaster relief, or other essential services could be quietly diverted to this program without our consent. Taxpayers deserve to know that every dollar allocated to this program has been explicitly approved by their elected representatives. If vouchers are a priority, they should be funded directly in the budget, not through hidden transfers that evade public scrutiny. I move adoption.
Senator Creighton, on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I will oppose this amendment.
What purpose?
For questions of the author of the amendment.
Senator Alvarado, do you
Yes.
yield?
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Alvarado, you were in this legislative body in the 88th legislative session in 2021, yes?
Yes.
Do you recall that session, what the regular session appropriation was for border security? How much that was?
I think maybe $1 billion.
That's my recollection too. I think the facts would check us out. It was $1 billion. Shortly after that, the comptroller issued a revised budget revenue estimate that freed up some additional money. Do you recall whether or not any further funds were appropriated to border security in a subsequent special session? Did we put more money into it in special sessions?
In the specials, I don't believe so.
Whether it was a special or the regular, do you recall that we had $1 billion appropriated, and shortly after that, it was $3 billion because we got more in the budget revenue estimate.
Yes, and I believe more was added after that.
But more was added after that. And then in the interim, another $2 billion went for border enforcement. And no, we are not talking about whether that was good or bad. We are talking about money that is spent beyond the initial appropriation. If your amendment is accepted, it would stop us from having some sort of interim appropriations to the program, wouldn't it?
That's correct. That means that only the legislature could appropriate money for the continuation of this program. Not the executive branch, not the LBB, not agencies. This means that only we and the House could appropriate money for future funding for this program. And it would have to be done in a regular session.
Aha, so that interim extra couple of billion that happened on the other topic wouldn't happen if we did the fiscally responsible thing and adopted your amendment.
That's correct. And in fact, in, I believe it was Arizona, I know that this was mentioned earlier about their budget shortfall, and I know Senator Creighton said there was a surplus now, but they did go through some rough patches where they had basically a budget meltdown of about $1.4 billion, a shortfall, and a good portion of that came from the voucher program. So what they had to end up doing was they cut about $333 million for water infrastructure, Senator Perry, and then they also made some cuts in highway expansion and repairs in congested areas, Senator Nichols. So there has been a budget impact, and so if more money had to be appropriated, and without this amendment, we would have no say.
And so, Senator, hard word. In short, your amendment would hold us to what we're saying, what this legislature says it's going to do, which is a $1 billion appropriation. It says that's what we're doing, not some larger number that's going to take away from other funding.
Correct.
Thank you for bringing this amendment. I'll be voting for it.
Senator Creighton, on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I would move to oppose the amendment.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell, Cook, Creighton, Eckhart, Flores, Gutierrez, Hagenbu, Hall, Hancock, Hinojosa of Nueces, Hinojosa of Hidalgo, Huffman, Hughes, Johnson, King, Cold-Course, Menendez, Middleton, Miles, Nichols, Parker, Paxton, Perry, Schwertner, Sparks, West, Zaffarini.
There being 11 ayes and 20 nays, the amendment fails. Members, the following amendment. Secretary will read the amendment.